Sergeant, you may ring the bell.
The quorum bell is currently ringing at the National Assembly, pursuant to Standing Orders number 34 and 5 on matters quorum for when the House is sitting. And as you await for signals from the Sergeant at Arms to ascertain if the quorum has been attained this afternoon, allow me to take you through the highlights in the order of business. This afternoon, we're away from the consideration of the motion on the report of the Consolidated Fund Services expenditures for supplementary estimates 1 for the financial year 2024-2025, this being a motion by the Committee on Matters Public Debt and Privatization, the Coffee Bill, Senate Bills number 10 of the year 2023 by the leader of the majority party, is a motion lined up for debate this afternoon. This debate on the Coffee Bill, this being a bill from the Senate, is currently at the second stage, and we anticipate debate on the Coffee Bill, this being a bill sponsored by the leader of the majority party at the National Assembly. And away from that, the public petitions on funds spent contrary to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution, these being a motion by the chairperson, Public Petitions Committee, is lined up for resumption of debate this afternoon. The debate on this motion had been adjourned on the 23rd of July 2023, and this particular motion has a balance of about 2.5 hours left for debate. In this motion, the Committee on Public Petitions seeks to have the House adopt the report of the Public Petitions Committee on its consideration of the public petition number 4 of the year 2022. This petition is in regards to the funds spent by the national government contrary to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution. The committee already laid its report on the table of the House on the 12th of March this year. The implementation status of reports on petitions as well as resolutions passed by the House is yet another motion for debate this afternoon, as well as the alleged unfair trade practices by foreign investors in Kenya. The chairperson, Departmental Committee on Matters Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, on behalf of his committee, is seeking to have the House adopt the report of the Departmental Committee on Matters Trade, Industry and Cooperatives in regards to the inquiry into alleged unfair trade practices by foreign investors in Kenya. The committee laid its report on the table of the House on the 7th of March this year. The Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Bill number 14 of the year 2023 from the Senate, is another bill lined up for consideration this afternoon. We also expect members of Parliament to debate the report of the extraordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament, PAP. This report is by a member of the Pan-African Parliament. The member on behalf of the caucus seeks to have the House adopt as well as note the report of the Kenyan delegation to the extraordinary session of the 6th Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament held in Midrand in South Africa from the 20th to the 27th of March 2024. The caucus that represented Kenya in South Africa already laid the report on the table of the House on the 2nd of May 2024. The second report on matters of employment diversity, this is in regards to audits in various public institutions, is another motion that we expect debate on this afternoon. This motion is by the Chairperson Committee on Matters National Cohesion and Equal Opportunity, that the House adopts the second report of the Select Committee on Matters National Cohesion on Employment Diversity Audit. Allow me to hand over back to the chamber this afternoon as the quorum has been achieved. Enjoy your viewing and good afternoon.
We now have quorum to transact business. Clerk?
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader?
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Thursday, August 8, 2024. Annual reports and financial statements of Kenya Tourism Board for the period ended 30th June 2022 from the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife. 2, reports of the Auditor General and financial statements of the National Government Constituency Development Fund, NGCDF, for the year ended 30th June 2023, and the certificates therein in respect of the following constituencies: Baringo North, Budalangi, Eldama Ravine, Emurua Dikir, Galole, Kajiado East, Kajiado South, Kigumo, Kilgoris, Kilifi North, Kipipiri, Kitui South, Kuresoi North, Kuria East, Machakos, Magarini, Masinga, Mathioya, Mboni, Molo, Moala, Mwatate, Narok South, Ndia, Njoro, and Rongai. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Social Protection.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Thursday, 8th August 2024. Reports on the Departmental Committee on Social Protection on consideration of the Institute of Social Workers Professionals Bill, National Assembly number 17 of 2023, and 2, review of the budget implementation for the financial year 2022/2023 for the following State Department and Constitutional Commission. Vote 1, vote 1185, State Department for Youth Affairs and Creative Economy. Vote 1214, State Department for Social Protection and Senior Citizen Affairs. 3, vote 1213, State Department for Public Service, National Youth Service. And 4, vote 2141, National Gender and Equality Commission. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Next.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Social Protection.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that this House adopt the report of the Departmental Committee on Social Protection on the review of budget implementation for the year 2023-2024 for the following votes read on the table of the House on Thursday, 8th August 2024. 1, vote 1185, State Department for Youth Affairs and Creative Economy. 2, vote 1214, State Department for Social Protection and Senior Citizens Affairs. 3, vote 1213, State Department for Public Service, National Youth Service. And 4, vote 2141, National Gender and Equality Commission. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Frederick Lusuli.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thought you were Frederick Ikana.
Lusuli is also my name, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that this House adopts the joint report of the Diaspora Affairs and Migrant Workers Committee and the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations on its inspection visit to Kenyan embassies in Ottawa, Canada from 18th to 23rd September 2023, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 5th December 2023. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Kana. Next.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Honorable Mark Mwenje.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is a request for a statement regarding fire incidents in Nairobi County. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding the fire incidents in 4 markets within Nairobi City County. Honorable Speaker, in the recent past, several markets in Nairobi have been affected by devastating fires. These incidents highlight the recurring issues of market fires in Nairobi, which occasion substantial financial losses and raise concerns on safety measures and emergency response by the government. These incidences have a profound impact on local traders, many of whom have lost their livelihoods and are now seeking assistance to rebuild their businesses. Honorable Speaker, on Friday, 2nd of August, the market adjacent to Thika Road Mall was destroyed by fire. The following day, Honorable Speaker, on Saturday, 3rd August, Toy Market in Kibra constituency, Umoja 2 Open Air Market in Embakasi West constituency, Madare 4A Market in Madare constituency, and Kayole Market next to Naivas in Embakasi Central constituency were all simultaneously destroyed by fires that raged between the hours of 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. On the same day, at varying times, Honorable Speaker, in Kibondeni Market in Kawangware and Bondeni Market in Kibra constituency were also affected by fires. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following. A detailed report on the investigations conducted to determine the cause of the fires in the above-mentioned areas, the relief measures that the government is putting in place to support the traders who lost their livelihoods and any compensation plan in place, and finally, the long-term plans being implemented to protect markets in the Nairobi region. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I believe there is a member, Beatrice Elachi, who is also here, who perhaps...
Once you ask for a statement and you finish, you sit down. You have no business soliciting for anybody to speak to you.
Honorable Speaker.
You just let whoever wants to ride on your statement as a joy rider request, but you don't solicit for anybody. Yes, Elachi, you are the joy rider.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, on a light note. But, Mr. Speaker, it is true that indeed we would wish the chairman also to look at the issue if the market is banned, then what happens? Because we want to see now the markets, the counties being able to ensure we have perimeter walls on these markets. And since members of the markets know themselves, for example, in Toy Market, they have been there for many years, for more than 20, 30 years. They know each other. If we can do them an open market that is more favorable and ensure every person gets, then that will be better. So for me, Mr. Speaker, we are requesting the governor of Nairobi to look at these markets at a serious note and to ensure every person who has now become a victim of this is also supported so that they can restart their businesses. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mama Dagoretti. Tongoyo, this is to you. How soon can you bring a response? Give Honorable Tongo the mic.
I appreciate, and first I want really also to really apologize for the families and the members who were victim of the same. But Mr. Speaker, you noted that I've got quite a number of piling and responded statements. And the reason being given by the ministries, majority of these are given by the officers who have been trying to calm the situation. So I will kindly ask to have it responded in 2 weeks so that I address to the more urgent and the previous ones. Next week.
Next week? 2 weeks?
2 weeks on this particular one.
Okay.
Yes.
When 2 weeks? Okay. Honorable Lillian Sioi. Not present. Response to, before we come to response, Honorable Tandaza. Give Honorable Tandaza. Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44 2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding the compensation of residents of Southern Bypass, commonly known as Dongokundu. Honorable Speaker, the Dongokundu Road serves as a crucial bypass which connects Miritini and Kwale County with 3 bridges. To pave way for constructing the road, several residents surrendered their land with a legitimate expectation for compensation. In spite of the strategic nature of the bypass, which has lessened the time spent driving between Miritini Standard Gauge Railway Station to Diani from 2.5 hours to approximately 45 minutes, it is saddening that approximately 1.4 billion shillings that was meant for compensation was halted and is yet to be paid to the remaining beneficiaries. The situation is worsened by the fact that the road is now open and operational, making the residents uncertain about the status of their compensation. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure on the following. 1, a comprehensive report on the number of persons whose land was acquired for construction of the bypass, the number already compensated and the status of compensation of the remaining beneficiaries, and 2, reasons for the delay and the timelines for remittances of the remaining beneficiaries, noting that the road is already in use. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Tandaza. Chair, Roads and Transport. Betsimba, you are the Vice Chair or a member of the committee?
I am Honorable Badi Twalib. I'm not Honorable Bezimba.
Betsimba was standing in front of you.
No, he has just come to me to consult on a certain matter.
Okay,
as a ranking member, you know, very many people need to consult me before doing anything. Honorable Speaker.
Okay, but Twalib, the ranking member.
Okay, Honorable Speaker, as a member of Transport Committee, I am very much aware about that road because that road starts from my constituency.
The only thing
So, on behalf of the Chairman,
Yes.
Transport Committee, Honorable Speaker, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to give him a reply on the same.
2 weeks.
2 weeks' time.
So that, thank you. Yes, Tandaza? Honorable Tandaza?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think 2 weeks will be too long, given that we expect this road to be officially opened anytime. And once it's officially opened, I'm really worried about how we'll be able again to follow up the matter of compensation. So I think 2 weeks is too long, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Nyamai,
Honorable Speaker,
give the mic to Honorable Nyamai.
thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I agree with the statement that it is urgent, among other roads that are already in use. Excuse me. That are already being used, like Kibwezi-Kitui Road, Mr. Speaker, that compensation has not been done, that needs to be addressed urgently. Honorable Speaker, I was wondering whether this matter will also touch on National Land Commission, and the Vice Chair for Lands Committee is in the House. So I was just wondering whether it may touch on NLC, Honorable Speaker. I'm just asking for your guidance on that.
Okay, who is the Vice Chair of Lands Committee? Jen Kiara, I saw you.
Yes, I was raising my hand, Mr. Speaker, because this is a matter before us as a committee. So it should have been directed to the Lands Committee. His question should have been directed to the Lands Committee, so then we can follow up with the National Land Commission.
Honorable Tandaza, have you misdirected your request?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As a matter of fact, I'm aware that all the funds for these roads are with the National Land Commission. But of course, from the table office, that is the way it was done. But I'm aware the National Lands Commission have all the funds as we stand here.
I direct that despite the enthusiasm of Badi Twalib, the question be directed to the Committee on Lands to deal with it. So Jen, can you have the answer here by Thursday next week?
Mr. Speaker, will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Beatrice Elach. Honorable Beatrice Elach.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to request for a statement regarding the arrest and deportation of 36 Ugandans from Kisumu, Kenya, pursuant to Standing Order 44-2C. I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations regarding the arrest and deportation of 36 Ugandans from Kisumu, Kenya. Honorable Speaker, the 36 Ugandans believed to be members of the Forum of Democratic Change, FDC party, had been lawfully admitted into Kenya to participate in a leadership training program in Kisumu County. However, on the 23rd July 2024, armed individuals believed to be a combination of Ugandan and Kenyan security personnel allegedly assaulted and arrested the individuals and immediately deported them to Uganda, where they were charged with terrorism-related offenses at the Nakawa Chief Magistrates Court. It is of great concern that despite having been lawfully admitted into the country, the Ugandans were deported without a legal basis, paid Ugandan nationals, exacerbates the risk likely to be faced by them at home due to their divergent political opinions. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations on the following. Details on the circumstance that led to the arrest and deportation of the 36 Ugandans who are believed to be members of the Forum of Democratic Change, FDC party, and whether there were any extradition orders providing clearance for their deportation. A report on treaties, if any, signed between the government of Kenya and international communities, including the East African Community,
start last week.
Kuna hoja ya nidhamu. Yes, Mheshimiwa Raida.
Bwana Spika, Bwana Chairman hafai kudanganya hili bunge. Generator imekuwa
Bwana Spika, mimi nakuwa na huruma kwa chairman wa stima kwa sababu yale mwenyekiti wa stima, kwa sababu yale Mheshimiwa Rueda anauliza, wewe ni mbunge mwenzako. Huwezi kuwa unaitisha yale mambo unaitisha kwamba yeye afanye na ni mjumbe mwenzako. Yeye ametumwa, amekuja na habari ile uliitisha. Kwa hivyo tusaidie mheshimiwa aweze kufuatilia vile unataka ili mambo yaweze kufanyika. Hawezi kuwa anaelewa kwamba hiyo chombo cha stima generator imekaa kule kwa zaidi ya mwezi miwili. Hawezi kujua, yeye ni mjumbe mwenzako. Kwa hivyo
order Mheshimiwa Bukoso, wewe unapotosha bunge. Mheshimiwa Kawaya ni mbunge, tena amepewa jukumu kuwa mwenyekiti, na majukumu yake ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba yale wabunge wanaulizwa anapeleka kwa wizara, anatafuta majibu na analeta hapa majibu sawa sawa. Yes. Bwana Kawaya.
Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I'm equal to this particular task, and my statement has remained clear. The statement I brought before this House was that the challenge of transporting this generator was, one, the issue of impassable roads, which up to date remain impassable to deliver the generators by road. Number two, the issue of security, in which case I can provide a letter to this House that the ministry had engaged the services of the Navy. Mr. Speaker, when these challenges were noted by the ministry went ahead to start procurement of a contractor to transport this particular generator by sea. This process started a long time ago. It did not start yesterday. It is only that was completed yesterday. And therefore, I don't think it is fair for the member to say that I, the honorable member for Mwala, I am lying. I am not lying. You can look at the procurement details for the services to transport this particular generator. They started a long time ago, but the process has been accelerated. It is true when, Mr. Speaker, you gave the orders that the process must be accelerated.
Yes, Donya, on the same issue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What Honorable Reda is saying about the chairman not giving the correct information, it's not with her alone. I've also requested for a statement in this House, and I've not been told the correct information, which later the Speaker told me that I wait for the minister to come and then it can be clarified. So, Mr. Speaker, from my perspective, I think the CSS should be answering those questions by themselves. That's when we can ask question after question, because it's not the first time they're not telling the truth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Russell.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the town of Marsabit is served with generators. At one time, we did not have those generators for 3 months. So what this House must do, and this is what also chairman must do, once a question is raised, yes, we know chairmen are members of the House. We need to work as a team, because when a place goes without electricity for 3 months, there are children there, there are old men and women there, there are hospitals there. Many facilities are likely to go down. whereas we cannot apportion any blame on the chairman, I think the chairman in this house have a responsibility because they are the first point of call. Their calls are likely to be picked much faster than those of other ordinary members. So for that reason, it is also wrong for Kiunga, one of the oldest villages in the coast, that up to now it is served by generator. It is really wrong. Whereas I don't want to support any position standing here, it is important that many of these settlements should be on grid, really not on off grid, where actually independent power producers are milking this country dry. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Give McClap the mic.
Mr. Speaker, one of those members of parliament who did public participation all the way to Lamu East. Mr. Speaker, it is only you and who can intervene for Captain Rueda. That part of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, requires what is called affirmative quick decisions. That part of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, that is not connected to tarmac and electricity and they go in blackout for about 3 months is a disaster. Mr. Speaker, I call upon you to intervene. We even convert this thing from being a statement answered by the chair for energy to actually a question and have the minister answer this matter here so that the issues of Lamu East can be part of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. That part of the country requires attention and prioritization in all matters and attention for this country, Mr. Speaker.
Members, you know, now we have cabinet and the majority leader who is here will start arranging for ministers to come here to respond to questions. But as we do so, Honorable Kawaya, Lamu is a special area. It's a serious security challenged area. And you know we've had serious difficulties of abductions, attacks by Al-Shabaab, terrorists, and so on. Even for security operations alone, you need electricity. Can you report back to this House on Wednesday afternoon that in fact the generator has been transported, installed, and is working? I don't believe that you can take 2 months procuring transport to ferry a generator from Mukowe to Kiunga. I don't believe so. So it's not your mistake, but those who are giving information are being economical with the truth. Just make sure that by Wednesday you tell us that the generator, the procurement that has taken 2 months, has finally transported the generator, installed, and is working. Yes, give the Honorable Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the direction. I just wanted to point out that your orders have been implemented. The statement by the member did not refer to a new generator. It referred to restoration of power, which was occasioned by a faulty generator, which has since then been repaired, and as we speak is in Kiunga being assembled, and Kiunga will be lit today. Mr. Speaker, the other matter of a new generator is actually an initiative by the ministry after considering that Kiunga cannot be served by the small generator alone, that a new generator has been procured to assist the existing one. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I will appear before this House next week as directed to report on progress with the new generator, but by today, Kiunga will be lit, as it has been lit before.
What you'll bring to the House, Honorable Kawaya, is not progress. Information that the generator has been moved from Mukowe to Kiunga and installed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You are not bringing any progress.
Most obliged, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Lilian Sioi.
Thank you, Speaker. I stand to request for a statement regarding delay in processing of medical insurance approvals for the Kenya police officers. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health on the delay in the pre-authorization process for medical insurance approvals for the Kenya police officers. Honorable Speaker, the Medical Administrator Kenya Limited, MACL, established in 2018 to address gaps in health insurance administrations, oversees the medical insurance scheme for various public servants, including the Kenya Police Service. In April 2024, MACL announced changes in the administration of the police medical insurance scheme, including replacement of CIC insurance with APA insurance as the lead insurer of the scheme. Since this transition, there has been an alarming surge in complaints from police officers concerning significant delays in obtaining insurance approvals to access treatment. Additionally, the health service providers listed in the medical scheme have also reported that the delays in obtaining insurance approvals have led to the disruption in provision of healthcare services to police officers. These delays pose health risks to our officers, especially those who require urgent medical attention. The situation raises concern about the effectiveness of the current medical scheme in meeting the healthcare needs of our police forces, who play a crucial role in maintaining law and order, often at great personal risk. It is therefore imperative that they have access to prompt and efficient healthcare services. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of Departmental Committee on Interior on the following. 1, a detailed report indicating the number of police officers who have received health care services under the revised insurance scheme, including a breakdown of approval awaiting times. Number 2, reasons for the excessive delays in insurance approval processes for police officers. 3, immediate measures the relevant government agency is implementing to address and expedite approvals for critical medical cases affecting police officers. And 4, long-term plans being implemented to address these challenges, including the possibilities of changing the medical service provider. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I really wanted a motion on this, Mr. Speaker, because it is something that is very crucial for our police officers. But I was told it will take long, and that is why I chose to put a question.
Thank you, Tongoyo. Social protection. Sought by Mayaka. Is Mayaka in the room, in the chamber?
So,
you will do it next week? Next order? Yeah? Majority Leader, your Thursday statement.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2A, I rise to give the following statement on behalf of the House Business Committee which met on Tuesday, 6th August 2024 to prioritize business for consideration during the week. Honorable Speaker, members should take note that the House further varied its calendar yesterday and is set to commence its long recess on Friday, 16th August 2024. That is next week. And resume its regular sittings for the third part of the third session of the House to finalize with consideration of the remaining cabinet nominees within the set timelines and also conclude any other urgent business pending before it. I therefore urge all members and committees to conclude any urgent matters before them and ensure that there is smooth transaction of all priority business before the recess begins at the end of next week. Honorable Speaker, with regards to business for Tuesday next week, the House is expected to consider the second reading of the following bills, if not concluded today. A, the County Government Additional Allocations Bill, Senate Bill number 19 of 2024. B, the Coffee Bill, Senate Bill number 10 of 2023. And C, the Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2023. Additionally, Honorable Speaker, debate will also be undertaken on the following motions, should they not be concluded today. 1, report on the consideration of the inspection visit to the semi-autonomous institutions of the East African Community in Uganda. 2 is a report on enhancing reporting of parliamentary business on online platforms. 3, report on the consideration of the consolidated fund services expenditures for the supplementary estimates 1 for the financial year 2024-2025. 5, report on consideration of a public petition on funds spent contrary to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution. 5, report on the implementation status of reports on petitions and resolutions passed by the House. 6, report on the alleged unfair trade practices by foreign investors in Kenya. 7, second report on employment diversity audit in public institutions. And 8, report of the extraordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament, PAP. Honorable Speaker, we are also scheduled to have for the first reading the livestock bill of 2024, the livestock bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2024. And Honorable Speaker, as indicated in the House Business Committee, I have since written to the Principal Secretary, the State Department of Livestock, asking the PS, or rather the Permanent Secretary to, or rather, we got the approval of the House Business Committee, Honorable Speaker, this Tuesday to stay the first reading of this bill and any further consideration of the bill to allow the ministry to conduct sensitization of the public and stakeholders on the contents of the bill and the policy underpinning this bill. Honorable Speaker, as you are aware, this bill was to appear for first reading and further consideration by the committee, and we since agreed that the ministry needs to do further sensitization to members of the public, because there has been a lot of propaganda online, and we may see this bill suffer the same fate as the finance bill of 2024, being demonized with a lot of untruths. And therefore, I have since written to the Principal Secretary to conduct further public sensitization. And upon completion of this sensitization process, we shall await their further guidance on the bill, on whether they want to proceed with it in its current form, or there are things out of the public sensitization process that they will need to reconsider, and they will inform us in due course. Finally, Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, the House Business Committee will reconvene on Tuesday, 13th August 2024 to schedule business for the rest of that week. And now wish to lay this statement on the table of the House, as I also lay on the table of the House the letter addressed to the Principal Secretary, State Department of Livestock Development, staying the first reading and further consideration of the livestock bill, pending that sensitization program by the ministry. Honorable Speaker, allow me to say the sensitization process that we have asked the ministry to do is informed by what the experiences we had with the finance bill. That, Honorable Speaker, we have seen, as has been considered by His Excellency the President, ministries author bills, send those bills to the House and abandon them. They do not take time to sensitize members of the public on the policies underpinning those bills. Honorable Speaker, when then people read things and interpret them in their own way, some that may not be very accurate and correct, they misinform members of the public and use whatever has been published to incite members of the public. And we have seen a lot of misinformation and disinformation being peddled online about this livestock bill. And I have engaged the Principal Secretary and the Ministry of Livestock Development. They have clarified a number of things, but we are asked them to engage all the stakeholders, even those who have been spreading the falsehoods and misinformation online, so that they get to understand the policies underpinning the publication of that bill before it comes to us for consideration, so that our ministries, before they get bills being considered by the House, they will have engaged with stakeholders, they will have made it known to members of the public what policies underpin the bills that are being published and being brought to this House, Honorable Speaker, so that Parliament does not bear the brunt of all the things that are being brought, and the owners of those particular bills are not explaining to the public what is it that they want to achieve. And many of the provisions in these bills are for the betterment of our country and for the good of the same public, Honorable Speaker. But when the public get misinformed and disinformed, they then get to demonize Parliament and imagine that Parliament comes up with all these bills, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, we want the ministries, in line with what the President has said, that they must take ownership of even communication within their own state departments. And that's why we've asked the State Department for Livestock to make sure that they own up to everything that is provided for in this bill, by going back to the public, sensitize the public on each and every clause in that bill, the policies underpinning each of the provisions in the bill. Then they send it back to us in whatever form they will send it back to us for further consideration by the House, including the public participation, Honorable Speaker, that we normally do as a House. And you have seen, Honorable Speaker, with the Social Health Insurance Fund bills, or the health bills, what the courts have said when they nullified those bills, that there ought to have been more sensitization. Unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, and I don't know why the courts would have taken that direction, the courts told Parliament to sensitize members of the public. Parliament cannot sensitize members of the public. It is owners of the bills in the ministry, and we've also asked the Ministry of Health to go back and sensitize members of the public on the policies and provisions of the 4 bills or the 3 bills that were nullified by the High Court. They then send them back to us for public participation. The public participation program is the only opportunity that Parliament has to engage with the members of the public and get feedback from the people on whatever they have been sensitized by the owners of the bill. With that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the statement.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Next.
Number 8, the County Government's Additional Allocations Bill, Senate Bill number 19 of 2024, second reading.
Honorable members, I'm told the chairperson of Budget and Appropriations Committee has sent word that the report is not ready until Tuesday. So next order.
Order number 9, motion, inspection visit to semi-autonomous institutions of the East African Community in Uganda. Resumption of debate.
Who was on the floor? Wanjiku, had you finished?
I wasn't, but I am sure it was remaining few minutes.
You are truncated by quorum.
Yes.
Yes.
For the second day.
Yes.
So if the clerk can confirm to me how many minutes?
How many minutes are left for the chair? 16. You have 16 minutes to go.
Okay.
You are not obliged to exhaust them.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. In a nutshell, I had already spoken of the institutions visited, and I had enumerated several observations from the committee. One which I would want to repeat because I see the House is quite full today is the communication challenges. Honorable Speaker, we have Northern Corridor and the Central Corridor, and anytime you are in the Central Corridor, we experience challenge of communication is too expensive, and we are hoping that the partner states in the Central Corridor will be able to fasten and fast-track that policy so that the communication in the whole of the region can be very easy. The other issue which I may want to highlight is the air transport, which, Honorable Speaker, we know traveling to Dar es Salaam is quite expensive even than traveling to Dubai, and this is because the air taxes are also not yet harmonized. As I conclude in observations, Honorable Speaker, the committee also observed that the political conflicts witnessed between some partner states have had negative effect to the business in the community. We therefore call mitigation at the summit level. For example, the Migingo issue, which has been a thorn all the years between the Republic of Uganda and the Republic of Kenya. If this issue can be finally harmonized at the summit level, the business can thrive. Honorable Speaker, we also seek the legal framework for the elimination of NTBs as per the Act of 2017 to be also fast-tracked. Also, we ask Honorable Speaker, we ask in the spirit of integration, the efficiency of lake resources that has hosted the three partner states mainly be shared in a harmonious way so that every country can benefit without a lot of struggle, particularly against the Migingo issue. Honorable Speaker, with those observations, I would want to go straight to the recommendation by the committee, and the committee recommends that for these charges to be addressed, we ask the Council of Ministers to be in Kenya to lobby the other Council of Ministers in matters of finances by finding a suitable financing mechanism because the remittance way is not tenable anymore. And Honorable Speaker, the committee recommends that one of the avenues that can be established could be what happens in African Union, in European Union, by possibly creating a levy to all imports or all exports within the region, or even think bigger, where the countries contribute in accordance to their GDP, but like the European Union, the same countries which contribute more, they also get the veto powers. Honorable Speaker, the Council of Ministers may also consider the goodwill from the late Honorable Kibaki, the President of the Republic of Kenya, may his soul rest in peace, who one time played the big brother role and bailed out the Republic of Burundi. We consider the Republic of South Sudan, the Republic of Burundi, arrears accumulating every year, and the partner states may play the big brother role and possibly bail the two countries out. Honorable Speaker, we also ask the Council of Ministers to consider reinstating the budget of the community. Honorable Speaker, I have information because I served in Yala that every partner state did contribute close to $8 million, and during COVID, this money was reduced to $7 million, and it has never been reinstated, considering the EAC has been increasing the institutions. Either the Council of Ministers hold to create more institutions or reinstate the money. Because, Honorable Speaker, every institution we visit in the whole community, either Central or Northern Corridor, there is always a challenge of professional staffs. You'll find the whole institutions with the two staffs, particularly the skilled staffs. So we ask the Council of Ministers to consider this budget, but most importantly,
the treaty now that is in the amendment. Honorable Speaker, even this National Assembly is expected to take its recommendations because the treaty was created when we had only 3 countries, and it is time that this treaty be now amended. As a committee, we are already putting up the recommendations, and 2 critical issues is mainly the consensus issue. As you may know, Honorable Speaker, in EAC, you can never decide on any policy without consensus, and this policy have time and again been a double sword because a country may feel we are not happy about this policy and they skip the sitting, so you can never conclude the matter. At the same time, some countries, if we say we don't go consensus, can also lobby amongst others and consider one country is absent and pass a policy. So these are very critical issues to the community and to the growth. And Honorable Speaker, as the amendment of the treaty is happening, we hope the National Assembly of Kenya and possibly Senate will also be putting their recommendations to our committee so that we can participate in the growth of this region. Honorable Speaker, without much ado, I would want to ask Honorable Naomi Wako to second this motion and encourage the members of this National Assembly to be debating and also contributing in the matters of EAC. By way of information, Honorable Speaker, after the Republic of DRC Congo, the population of this region is closely almost same to the population of America. So why are we still doing as a community international trade? We can easily do intra-trade, 90% possibly, and possibly 10% international trade. Because with a population of 340 citizens within the region, this is a huge number that can enable us to thrive in the trade, particularly if we do away with non-tariff barriers, sensitize the citizens, because I am sure quite a number of East African citizens do not still realize the potential and the trade available to them. That can only happen if the members from this National Assembly understand, appreciate, internalize, and speak of what is held within the East African, so that the mama mbogas in the rural areas can know they can also trade with our neighbors. Honorable Wako will second. Thank you.
Please put on record that you move. Put on record that you move the motion and request for a seconder.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I move the motion and request Honorable Naomi Wako, who is a member of Regional Integration Committee, to second.
Thank you. The Honorable Naomi Wako.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I stand to second this report. I also want to congratulate our committee, the members who visited and came up with this good recommendation. And Honorable Speaker, as I second, the purpose of the visit was to appreciate the operation of the East African institutions and organs, and also to enhance mutual relationship between the neighboring countries, and all that has come out in the recommendation that we have been given. And the other thing that members wanted to achieve was to make them understand the role of Parliament, which they did very well. And our chair, who is very well experienced, has always guided the committee in the way that needs to be done, and the members have also been very faithful. And in their recommendation, in our recommendation, we have said that financing mechanism needs to be established, because through this, then we will be able to make that effective and also self-sustaining. Again, political stability in the neighboring countries is of paramount importance, because when we have challenges and the wars going on, and people, we have relevant people and people who represent the East African community. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I second, and I also encourage members to contribute to this because it concerns all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Naomi. Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Regional Integration on its consideration of the inspection visit to the semi-autonomous institutions of the East African community in Uganda, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 29th November 2023. Honorable members, you may now proceed to contribute. The Honorable Dr. Robert Pukose, member for Endebess.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I second the inspection visit to Uganda, and I want to say that within the report that we've had, this issue about the air traffic, which is from Nairobi to Dar es Salaam being more expensive compared to from Nairobi to Dubai, I think we should be able to harmonize our tax within the region and make business within the region to be easy, accessible, and profitable at the same time. Madam Speaker, there was a question which was raised by the member for Takoradi North about arrest of 36 members of FTC in Kisumu. And I think that is part of the cooperation within East Africa, that when you have suspected terrorists assembling even within the regional area, security agents within the neighboring countries can cooperate and make sure that such terrorist threats are eliminated. We've had, I come from a constituency which borders Uganda, that is Endebess, and you find that at times people want to commit crime on this side and run away to Uganda. So if you have cooperation between security agents, then it makes it easier, that it is safe. It is, nobody can commit a crime within this other area and run away to another neighboring country. I think that is the cooperation that we want. And even we need to be able to do businesses, free movement of people, free movement of goods within East Africa. And I think that is the way to go. I remember one time when President Museveni spoke and said, we would want to encourage even Kenyans to go and own property in Uganda, and also would also want to encourage Ugandans to come and own property, land, and anything within our region. So I think that is the brotherhood that would want to encourage within the region, that we have free movement of people, free movement of goods. We are able to harmonize our state agencies within the region, so that even when it comes to education, whether you train in Uganda or train in Kenya, and this especially in the medical profession, we find that doctors who have either trained in Uganda or trained in Kenya, you can work freely within the region, because Kenyan Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council, they recognize anybody who has trained within the East Africa, so long as you have the necessary minimum qualifications for you to be enrolled as a doctor within the region. And similar to others, nursing council, clinical officers, I think they are in the process of harmonizing within the region, So I think that is the way to go. And especially when it comes to medical now, we have issues about outbreaks within the region. As we speak today, we have the mpox, which I think by yesterday it was reported in areas like in the border of Kenya at Taita Taveta and other regions. So I think cooperation within our region will be able to assist us to make sure that disease surveillance is able to track and be able to arrest any disease outbreaks, Ebola, Mpox, Marburg, and many other viral hemorrhagic diseases that can be able to break out within our region, such that we have cooperation and more so man our border points. And as we speak today, many of our border points are one-stop border points, and this facilitates easier movement of goods within our region. So with those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to support the motion.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Joshua Mwalio, member for Masinga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to speak on the inspection visit to semi-autonomous institutions of the East African community in Uganda. And I want to commend those who went, including the able MP for Kipiripiri, who has just tabled the...
Order, Honorable Joshua Mwalio. Did you say she is member of parliament for Kipiripiri?
Constituency.
Kipipiri.
Kipipiri.
Constituency.
Okay.
Able chair.
Kipipiri. Okay, thank you very much. I just wanted to say something on the East African community, that it has been in the paper for many days that we are going to remove the non-tariff barriers, which makes us not to do business as East African community member countries. And it has been a song for many, many days, which needs to be actualized, because time has come when we need to do business as a bloc. All these countries can give us a lot of business, such that we don't even need to trade with other countries out of Africa. But we have not been able to tap in this opportunity because of small political issues, small barriers, small things that we need to remove and be able to do a lot of business. You find that there are Kenyans who are experts in some areas, who are able to work in Congo, who are able to work in Tanzania, who are able to do business in Uganda. But these small barriers have made it impossible for us to be able to make wealth and make money in those countries. You find like Tanzania, there is a lot of timber. In Congo, there is a lot of timber. But the barriers that are there, the bureaucracy that is there, when you buy your lorries of timber, they are detained at the borders just for nothing, to be able to pay either some kickbacks or some things to be able to fulfill some of the requirements. But if we can be able to remove them, then there could be free trade which can reach our country in a big way. I know Kenyans are very enterprising, and even now, the timber that we are using for our construction in this country is coming from Tanzania, is coming from Congo. But before you bring I talked to one of the transporters and one of the traders. Before you bring the lorry in this country, the money that you will have parted with it because of the barriers, the many tariffs that you have to pay, the many taxes that are imposed, that you end up eating all your profits, and even you are left with nothing even to be able to buy the next consignment. And that discourages the traders, that discourages the contractors, that discourages people from doing business. But you find that people, a country like Rwanda, when you go to Rwanda, you want to open up even a company. In 6 hours, your company is already registered, a limited company. You are given your incorporation certificates to be able to start even trading. So I believe that if we can be able to remove all these barriers, then we can be able to travel freely to the member countries and be able to do some trading. So I urge them that are able, even the ministers that are able to remove them, the ones who are supposed to harmonize them, to be able to hurry up, so that we have business. People have been saying there is no business in the country, but there are business across our borders. But how to get there is the problem. So I urge the ministers in charge to be able to remove all these barriers so that we can be able to trade and make wealth. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for those few remarks that I've been able to make.
Thank you, Honorable Mwalio. The Honorable, I don't see the Honorable Suleka in the House. Honorable Biti Selachi. Honorable Charles Ngusia Nguna. Honorable Lilian Sioi. Member of, oh, is the Honorable Charles Ngusia here? Mwenge West, it's just that you're seated in a place where I'm used to seeing you in a different place. You may proceed, Honorable CNN.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to add my voice on this. Although I have not seen the report, but let me begin by appreciating the committee on the visit to Uganda in East Africa, where we are supposed to be proud of, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, beginning by, I was lucky last week to attend the Greek Parliament and learn things about integration and the benefit it can really bring to our people. And for example, when European Union started integration, there were so many benefits. There were so many disparities between the economies. Most of the countries used to use just different currencies, but when they merged, right now they are using euro, and things are very easy. I am speaking, Madam Speaker, on this point. We need to enhance our institutions in East Africa and actually to finance them for our benefit in terms of trade, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the issues of movement. Right now, for example, in the European Union, if you are coming from Italy, you don't need to go through immigration if you are traveling to Germany or to Greece or to any other country, Madam Speaker. But in the issue, like, for example, in Kenya, when you are traveling to Tanzania, you have to go through a lot of issues at the Namanga or even at the border, Madam Speaker. We need to have what we call movement of people and goods across the East Africa for the benefit of our economies, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we need to enhance this.
The chair of the committee has a point of order. What is out of order, Honorable Chair?
If I can give him information.
Okay, she has a point of information. Would you like to be informed, Honorable
Yes, I would like the Honorable Lady,
thank you,
Madam,
Honorable.
to inform me about it.
Thank you, Honorable.
Proceed.
I agree with him. We haven't reached the European Union where you cross the border without any paper, but I want to give him information that since establishment of one-stop border post, we don't go through a lot of issues also. Today, you only need your ID at Namaga border. In fact, it is one desk. This is the Kenyan desk, and this is Tanzania desk, and within 5 minutes, you can also cross. Thank you.
Yes, You may
Yes,
proceed. I hope you appreciate
yes,
that
Madam
information.
Speaker, I'm well informed, but I'm just comparing the process. I am, for example, in Europe, if you are traveling from Greece to Italy, you don't need even anything to be stamped. You don't even need anybody to check you, even at that desk we have established at Namanga, the desk between the Kenya and Tanzania border. It is totally different, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Chair, please appreciate information about Greece when given by the Honorable Charles Ngusi Anguna. He has a lot of information on matters Europe and specifically matters of travel in Greece and its environs.
If you may allow me, Honorable Speaker, I appreciate, but we must agree that we are in Africa, in East Africa, and I have also traveled, particularly from Geneva and France, and what he is saying is correct. But then, these are developed countries with huge cameras, which will even identify how much meat you are carrying in your car in terms of kgs, and we are not yet there. As you may realize, Honorable Speaker, if you may allow, at Namaga border, we still have the manual scanner where the truck will have to be scanned manually. This is all about budget. Hence, in this report, and I hope you'll be touching, we are discussing of alternative financing mechanism for our region, because the remittance way is the one which have led us this. So we can only work with the material that fits us, which is manual.
Thank you, Chairman. Honorable Charles Nguna, I'll give you another 3 minutes because of the disturbances, then you can conclude.
Yes, Madam Chair, I appreciate for that. Actually, I'm just trying to give information so that we can move towards that. Madam Chair, the resources we have in East Africa, Congo being included as the richest country in the world, yet it is one of the poorest when it comes to matters of the living standard. Madam Speaker, the resources we have in East Africa can really almost give us almost 90% of our needs. But due to political instability in this region, Madam Speaker, we need to be brothers keepers, actually, when it comes to these issues. I am talking of the issues of airspace. We need to harmonize taxation. Why do we have different navigational charges in Ugandan airspace and Kenya and Tanzania when we can have a common tariff being charged to us, Madam Speaker, in our airspace? I'm talking of the issues of security agencies. We need cooperation in this. Uganda, we can consult them to protect our borders. For example, when I was in Greece, there is what we call the Greek Navy, which actually helped us a lot in terms of pirates. They are the ones who was credited for doing away with the pirates we used to experience in Somalia. 19 countries in Europe came together and protected the water transportation, Madam Speaker. We need to ensure we are safe in all the countries so that we can have free movement of goods and people across the whole of East Africa, including the Somalia, which has really been donked by many problems of insecurity, Madam Speaker. We just need even to start thinking, apart from getting money to finance these institutions, why can't we have common currency in East Africa? So that we don't have to change to Ugandan shillings. We come up with a very stable currency for our region, and we will be free to trade in Tanzania, and even this will become cheaper. We will even attract foreign companies, Madam Speaker, in our region in East Africa. And with those few remarks, I support the report of the committee, and job well done. We need to look on all these issues, and we will have a better East African community. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Oh, thank you very much. The Honorable Fatuma.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity.
I stand here to support the report, and I want to congratulate the committee led by the Honorable Member for Kipipiri for a good job. Indeed, as East African community, we are a family. And it is important to put it that it is not a country that divides us, it is just a border, but we are one country under East African community. Madam Speaker, there are provisions that were put when the treaty was signed about 25 years ago. And the times have changed. If we don't do this fast, I think some countries do feel left out and they feel like they are lesser children in the family because the treaty was just for the 3 countries and now we are so many in this treaty. So it is important to put it into consideration that the faster we do it, the better they will feel that they belong to the community. Madam Speaker, there is Inter-University Council in East African community. Indeed, when our students do their exams in a school here in Kenya, in a college in Kenya, we should have a quicker way, a networked way, so that the transfers of the credit can be done easily from an institution in Tanzania to Kenya or vice versa, so that the students also do feel you study in Kenya, you study in Uganda, or which other country, you are East African student, you are one community. Madam Speaker, I come from Migori County, where we do fishing. I come next to Lake Victoria. There are incidences where our fishermen go into the water, and the water has no boundary, and you don't cross the water with any passport, and you fish there, and in the middle of the night, because fishing usually happens in the middle of the night, and very late in the night, they are harassed, they are arrested, and they are told to throw back the fish to the water, and they are told, yes, the water belongs to you, but the fish belongs to us. Without mentioning any country, I would wish that that neighboring country that knows what I'm talking about to remember that we are a community. And when we are a community, whatever is served on my plate, you should not feel bad when it's not served on your plate. We all are fishermen within East African community, and just as we can cross the border easily, so we should be able to cross the water easily and catch a fish the other side when the other person on the other side is not interested in the fish. It is very frustrating, and we do go a lot of emotional stress when we try to rescue some of the fishermen from this other side of the country to come back to our country. Sometimes they are charged with things that really don't exist. So I would request that all countries to feel that we belong to one home and treat each other as brothers and sisters. Madam Speaker, I am very happy that at least with the so many countries we have, there is peace in our regions. But there are few countries that are experiencing problems within their boundaries. And I'm requesting the chair to take into more consideration about the peace, because when peace affects the other country, it affects the neighboring country. We should look more into how to harmonize peace amongst East African community so that we can live more as brothers and sisters. The committee had recommended that the ministers are urged to urgently complete the ongoing staff recruitment process, which is, one, it will create job opportunity for either countries, depending on where the person is employed from, and this again will help us understand each other's tradition. When a Luo or a Kenyan or a Kikuyu goes to work in Tanzania, you learn other traditions and cultures, and because we are all Africans, we do know that we share all our cultures. So it is important for that integration, and also I will encourage that when they go the other side, they'll come back with brown ladies from Tanzania, our black men from Luo Nyanza, we get brown ladies from Chaga, and now we'll have a mixed, beautiful people in our community. So I encourage that wherever you travel there, please make good use of that. We are dark, they are brown, and we can get a very good combination there. Madam Speaker, I sit down saying that I really congratulate the committee and I support the adoption of this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable James Nikal, member for Seme.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, when I listen to people, then I really appreciate how far back we have gone. All these things we are recommending here and we are wishing you to do were there in the East African community. No, some of us don't even know why this region up here is called community. It was the headquarters for the East African Common Services Organization. And we had the same currency. I saw the East African shilling. It was one.
We had East African Railways and Abas. So the railways, all the way from Gulu to Dar es Salaam, was one. We had East African Airways. It was one. So you didn't have. We had the University of East Africa. It was one. With medicine in Makerere, law in Dar es Salaam, and engineering in Nairobi. That's how it was. There were research organizations. There was the East African Medical Research Council with leprosy in Lupe, malaria, I think, in Tanzania, and Sesefly was in Tororo, Sesefly research. So what we really should be doing is we should move very fast, because if you look at these recommendations, look at recommendation 3 and 4. Those are about taxes. Harmonize our tax-free regime. 5, non-tax tariffs. Then if you go to 4, recommendation 8, recommendation 10, this is all civil aviation. This is for a place where before you had one airways, the East African Airways. Actually, after Form 4, I was supposed to train as a pilot, and I did the interview here at the community. But then I decided to go ahead. So these things were actually there. After East African Framework for Support Transfer of Credit among universities, it was one university, so that the vice chancellors used to rotate. And so I think we should move fast. What I see that is happening in the current East African community, and the chair, the honorable member, actually has been in the community. I may be wrong. Now we feel like we are several countries jostling for resources instead of actually looking at all those countries as one, and so we make things one. Make me definitely I feel like an East African, because we may not know that before that, people used to move freely. You didn't need anything. You used to move freely. The train ticket in Dar es Salaam, you could use it to travel in Kenya buses in Nairobi, if you had the train ticket. So that now we move as one, I feel as one, feel as one. And even the registration of professionals, Honorable Kose was saying, this we did in 2000 and about 2002. Actually, it was Kenya Medical Association. We had a meeting and we actually decided to invite all the ministers of health from the East African region. Professor Ngeri then was the minister. And one of the things we agreed on was that we have reciprocal recognition of certificates. And if you look at it, madam, we exchange lecturers during exams. So why do you go to Makerere and examine a student and pass them? And now when they come to practice in Kenya, you want to examine them again. So all this, I think, is something we should do. And I would just urge, like those of us who get to the community to Iyala, let's start thinking of one unit, not several countries jostling for resources and advantage. Just look at what the people need and do that for our people. With that, I really support this report, particularly the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Nyikal. The Honorable Dr. Makali Molu, member for Kitui Central.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to add my voice into this important debate. I want to start by appreciating Honorable Wanjiku Muya for the passion matters relating to East Africa community. Having served there for 5 years, Honorable Speaker, because Honorable Speaker, if you remember well, we joined this parliament together with Wanjiku Muya. She had a break of 5 years. Me and you, we remained here. Then she came back. So I'm sure the 5 years she was in Ihela, she got a very good exposure in terms of what happens there. Honorable Speaker, the reason why there are regional blocks, or what we call regional integration in economic terms, is because by coming together as a bloc, there are lots of advantages associated with such a blocks, and more so when you consider the population which comes to be one unit. Because if you are to sell goods to such a kind of a block, you realize you can do business. And listening to this report from the committee, what I'm picking is I'm agreeing with what Dr. Nyikala has just said, that this issue of East Africa community, we've been doing a lot of talking and minimal action in terms of pushing the real issues. Honorable Speaker, if you listen to what Honorable Mwalio of Masinga said, the issue of trade barriers and non-tariff barriers, I always wonder, Honorable Speaker, why it is so difficult for East Africa community or countries, for example, Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya, why it should be so difficult to trade amongst ourselves. For example, Honorable Speaker, each of these countries have what I will call competitive advantage on a specific issue. I think somebody has said, for example, now we know Tanzania, they're doing very well agriculturally in terms of agricultural products, food products. Kenya, we have our own competitive advantage. Uganda, they have their own competitive advantage. Neighboring Congo, and the same with other countries. And the thing is, if we came up with the enabling environment for trade to be promoted, Honorable Speaker, it will be very easy for these countries to take advantage of their competitive advantage and do serious business and grow their local economies. But you realize that always we are having trade barriers being imposed by one country against another. And as a result of that, Honorable Speaker, we can't do trade. Honorable Speaker, in the old days when politics were at the center of it, countries would be aligned in terms of the political alignment. But now, issues of politics have taken a back burner. Now, issues of trade have taken the front burner. And if we are serious on trading, Honorable Speaker, all these countries should do what it takes to make sure that trade is actually facilitated and countries are able to do trade without any minimal challenges. Honorable Speaker, look at the issue of labor movement. For you to move to a country like Tanzania and Uganda, even though Honorable Muya says we just require ID, but I thought that since we are all brothers and sisters, we should just be a walk-in, walk-out thing, Honorable Speaker. Anytime you want to go to Tanzania, you have to carry your ID or you go for a temporary pass from the immigration department. Why should it be like that when anytime we meet in international meetings, we talk about, Honorable Speaker, my brother from Tanzania, my sister from Uganda, my brother from Kenya. If we are at that level of integration, we shouldn't be requiring these travel documents. Look at the issues of money. You have Kenya shillings, you have Uganda shillings, you have Tanzanian shillings. What the hell? You go spend time exchanging, and the issues of exchanging levies also come into play. Why don't we just have East Africa community shilling and we do business without any problem, Honorable Speaker? So I think really what we need is more action than talking. We need to see our political leaders, we need to see the Council of Ministers coming out strongly and saying we need to make the next move and see them taking action so that this issue of integration, we take advantage of it like the EU has taken advantage, Honorable Speaker. And by doing that, we'll be helping our people who live in these countries, we'll be growing the economies for the better standard.
You need another minute to conclude, or you have... So you have 2 minutes to conclude.
I think you need to. Is it okay? Sure. Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Just as I concluded, because the point I was trying to drive home, Honorable Speaker, was the issue of where we are saying if we are able to just do what we call the issues of monetary. You know, normally we have always thought about coming up with one currency for East Africa, Honorable Speaker. And the other matter which is critical, Honorable Speaker, I think it's also very important that we take it this. We always see our political leadership meeting, we see the Council of Ministers meeting, and we have actually even technical meetings. Honorable Moya will confirm that. But there's a lot of talking, Honorable Speaker. And I think really the issue of financing, as she says, I want to support the idea of thinking of alternative way of financing. Because, Honorable Speaker, if you look at the contribution by countries, you find some countries are up to date. Other countries are even 3 years behind. And because of that, you find that even the membership of IALA, Honorable Speaker, if you talk to our colleagues in IALA, they'll tell you they're not able to work effectively because some countries have contributed, others have not contributed. So I think really we need to come up with the alternative financing mechanism so that this important body called IALA and all the other regional bodies function well. I'm looking at the court because we have also the Council of Judges, Honorable Speaker, and all these other important bodies, if they are well facilitated in terms of finances, they can do very well for this region. And I can tell you, Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, no regional bloc will be able to help their people unless they get some of these basics right. And if you look at those who have gotten right, like the EU and other blocs, they have done very well. We can take advantage of this coming together as countries so that we grow the welfare of our people and also improve their standards of living. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support and thank the committee for this good report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Agnes Pereio, member for Narok North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support the motion by Honorable Moya. East African communities are one. We are one in a way that we have a lot in common. If I can give an example for us, the Maasais, we share a lot with the Maasais on the other side. We intermarry, we share the business, trade, we are pastoralists. We also do the same work. Because we are one, we intermarry, our girls are married on the other side, and we also marry from the other side. And when it comes to wild beasts, they move from Masai Mara to the other side. So we have a lot in common that we share. We are brothers and sisters, and the language is one. And therefore, there is need for our governments to make sure that they integrate and bring us together so that we can benefit because we are one. There is no need of having a boundary because it's just a boundary. We don't even know that these boundaries exist because we feel like we are one. When I used to work for the FGM board, I could go to Tanzania and educate women on the effects of female genital mutilation because our culture is the same. Therefore, I support that there is need for the integration of the governments, because we share one culture, and we share all the businesses and the trade, and the people are the same and we are one. So we see ourselves like one community, and it is important for our governments to come together, make sure that they also sit together, because it's just politics that is different, but I think any other thing that we do, we share and we are on. For that reason, I support the report by the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member for Narok. The Honorable Dr. Wilberforce Houndo, Member for Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support the Committee on Regional Integration on the report of the inspection visit to the semi-autonomous institutions organs of the East African Community in Uganda. Honorable Speaker, let me start by declaring that I come from a border constituency of Funyula in Busia County. I come from a community called Samia, where at any given time, 3/4 of the community lives in Uganda. We are just a handful in Kenya. In Uganda, we have about 6 constituencies represented by people of Samia. In Kenya, we only have 1. And also want to declare at one time, when Mzee Mudi Awori was the vice president of this country, his brother was running for presidency in Uganda. So again, let me emphasize the point that East African Community was a well-conceived idea in the 1960s and 1970s, realizing that the partition for Africa divided the people of Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania arbitrarily without considering the cultural and racial, the heritage of the people around there. Honorable Speaker, I've had the opportunity to have traveled to Rwanda. I've had the opportunity to have traveled to Tanzania, literally most of it. I've had the opportunity to literally travel to Uganda and see how the place looks like. In any case, Honorable Speaker, let me also admit, I can easily take breakfast in Kenya and cross over, go to the Shamba in Uganda. I live on the border. Honorable Speaker, I have gone through the report. They have raised pertinent issues, but let me admit these issues are not new. They have been with us for a long time, and that's why sometimes, Honorable Speaker, I wonder whether the IALA, East African Legislative Assembly, does. Because these are things we have been talking about. This was the foundation of the East African community. We seem not to have been moving at all, and we therefore we hope this report, the committee will share with our members in IALA so that they can pursue these ideas as we move forward. Honorable Speaker, let me comment over the past few years, there has been tremendous improvement in the relationship between the countries. The one-stop border point, you can actually walk there and you don't have to spend a lot of time. You walk at the Namanga border, the migration office of Kenyans is here, the ones for Tanzania are here. You go to Busia, that's the same arrangement, you can have the one point. And Honorable Speaker, it's either by coincidence or whichever way, I do not need a passport to go to Uganda. Because when Uganda looks at me, he thinks I'm a Ugandan. The Ugandans don't need a passport to come to Kenya and Busia area because we speak the same language, so we can actually go through. Honorable Speaker, I'm really in favor of recommendation number 11. And let me speak on that one. This African qualification framework should support credit transfers among the universities within East African member states. I say so because we have so many Ugandans who come to school in Kenya. At one time, we had so many Kenyans who used to go to school in Uganda. The process of equating the Ugandan qualification to Kenyan qualifications sometimes is a little too cumbersome. Since we don't seem to pursue the same education standards, because Ugandans up to now still have their level, us we do not have their level. We must find a regime whereby we are able to equalize these qualifications so that we can have seamless transfer of skills and competencies from one country to another. Because many, even those of us who went to school much earlier, many of the mathematics teachers were Ugandans. Even at Astarehe, the teacher who taught me mathematics in Form 1 was a Ugandan. Honorable Speaker, I want to ask your indulgence to give me one minute to talk about the harassment of fishermen in Lake Victoria. And as she has clearly observed, the main resource in Lake Victoria is the fish. And the committee has clearly observed is that the resources we have, we do not have shortage of resources, fish resources in Lake Victoria. The shortage is man-made and it's a result of bad fishing practices.
Please give him 2 minutes to conclude.
Honorable Speaker, the fish in Lake Victoria mostly breeds at the entry point of River Suo and River Nile. And then they spread throughout the East African community. The fish has no passport at all. He's neither Kenyan, he's neither Tanzanian, he's neither Ugandan. I want to urge the committee, through IALA and the respective legislative assemblies, if we can have fishing protocols that would allow our fishermen to move from one point to another while observing typical fishing practices. This, Honorable Speaker, will entrench and enhance the cooperation and the good intentions of the founders of East African community. Honorable Speaker, we have talked about non-tariff barriers. Tanzania are notorious. Ugandans are more flexible. Can we find a mechanism to allow free trade between Kenya and Uganda? And as they clearly indicated here, intra-East African trade only accounts for less than 10% compared to 90%. We have more room to improve East African community. We have no room to do more trade if we get serious about East African community. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support the report.
Thank you, honorable members. There be no other interests in this. I would like to call upon the mover to reply. Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And on the onset, I would like to appreciate the members who have spoken very well on the matters of East African community, and also thank the Office of the Speaker, the Office of the Clerks, and even our committee's clerk for having facilitated us very well. But having said that, Honorable Speaker, I have noted with concern that members endeavor for East Africa to have better borders, just like what is there in Europe. And of course, we also endeavor to have the same, but currently we also enjoy the one-stop border that is there. I want to inform the House that we have a whole protocol on peace and security. And as much as we speak of a coalition of willing, this peace and security is a protocol that is signed by every partner state, and even the upcoming partner states like Somali, DRC, Congo are also supposed to sign as per the treaty. So that can assure members that we continue living in harmony.
this motion. I beg to move the motion that this House adopts the report of the Select Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library on enhancing reporting of parliamentary business on online platforms, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, the 4th of October, 2023. Honorable Speaker, the Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting is established pursuant to Standing Order 212D, and that standing order mandates this committee, among other mandates, to consider and report on all matters relating to broadcasting of proceedings of the House, and to advise the House on matters related to public participation, among the mandates given to this committee. Honorable Speaker, Article 118 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 provides that Parliament shall conduct its business in an open manner, and its sittings and those of its committees shall be in public. It also provides for public participation and involvement of the public in legislative and other business of Parliament and its committees. Honorable Speaker, in addition, Article 34 and 35 of the Constitution provide for the freedom of the media and access to information, respectively, Honorable Speaker. The involvement of the media in scrutinizing parliamentary proceedings, parliamentary business, in plenary and in House committees is fundamental to meeting the threshold of good governance. And this committee, Honorable Speaker, is seized of the matter of public participation. We have actually developed a bill that is already a possession of this House on matters public participation, a very important aspect in governance, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the PSC, or the Parliamentary Service Commission, has a strategic plan, 2019 to 2030. And in that strategic plan, Madam Speaker, there is pillar number 3, which is a matter on public trust. That is the involvement of the public in the legislation and in the oversight functions of Parliament. It is because of the importance of engaging the public in matters legislature, Madam Speaker, that Parliament, in its wisdom, started the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit, which was established in 2008, and there exists a contractual agreement between the Parliamentary Service Commission and the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation to broadcast parliamentary business on a 12-hour per week arrangement, radio and TV, Madam Speaker. This arrangement, which is a contractual arrangement, somehow is restrictive because of the 12 hours. And Madam Speaker, the other thing about that contractual agreement between KBC and Parliamentary Service Commission, PSC, is that that broadcast is within Nairobi environs, meaning that the members of the public outside the Nairobi area do not get these broadcasts as they go on. Maybe there can be broadcasting through other media houses that are fed by KBC, but the contract is between KBC and PSC. That is restrictive, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is important for us to realize that the world is changing. We are now at the digital age, and that digital age requires that we partake of all activities that are undertaken in Parliament to a wider audience. And this is the reason why, Madam Speaker, the Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library decided to bring out this motion to this House that we would rather expand the scope and the space of reach for the public. And this scope is enabled by the digital platforms, the social media platforms. Madam Speaker, as I speak now, platforms, social media platforms, afford Parliament a good outreach where Parliament can then broadcast itself and get to be known what business goes on in Parliament at any one time. Madam Speaker, after us interacting with the experts in the departments of broadcasting, the Department of ICT, the Media Relations Department of Parliament, Madam Speaker, we observed the following: that the Parliamentary Service Commission has a social media policy, which was passed in 2016, and with the rapid pace of technological change, new trends in the social media sector have since emerged. Madam Speaker, the official social media channels are hosted on different sites of Parliament, and therefore doesn't make access easy for the users. The YouTube channel, for instance, is underutilized in terms of providing comprehensive media coverage of activities undertaken by members of Parliament. And Madam Speaker, you will bear me witness that a lot of work done by the members of Parliament, either in their committees or in their constituencies and their counties, Madam Speaker, go unnoticed. They are localized. And yet, there can be very good lessons, Madam Speaker, that can be shared across the country if these activities were able to be broadcast across the country via the social media platforms that the Parliament of Kenya hosts. Madam Speaker, the usage of parliamentary social media channels to disseminate activities undertaken by members of Parliament in their respective constituencies need to be enhanced. And this will give the Member of Parliament visibility right up to the grassroots, Madam Speaker. And these are the kind of interactions that need to be encouraged between the members of Parliament and the public or the people they represent and the departments they oversight. Because in this manner, Madam Speaker, the members of Parliament can then be said to be at work in their various areas. It is not only in the chamber, Madam Speaker, that Parliament works. If I can remember or paraphrase the quote by our former Speaker, that Parliament in committees is Parliament at work. Madam Speaker, as it is now, very few of our members, in fact our committees, get covered or are broadcast live. If this broadcasting through social media platforms can be enhanced, can be introduced, can be established, Madam Speaker, the interest of the Kenyan people to know what their members of Parliament are carrying on in their committees where they are working, in their constituencies and their counties, as they serve their constituents, Madam Speaker, it will show the amount of work members of Parliament do engage themselves in. Publishing the members of Parliament information or content on parliamentary social media platforms will require, of course, proper mechanism for authentication and verification of information sources to ensure credibility and accuracy of this information. That is very true, Madam Speaker. We are 47 counties where our women reps and our senators work from, and 290 constituencies. That is a huge constituency, Madam Speaker, and if we have to reach out to the grassroots, then we have to establish points of contact, people of focus, focal points in the various constituencies and counties so that information generated from the constituencies, from the counties, can then be shared in a manner that is organized, in a manner that is going to be relevant for promoting the work of Parliament and the image of the members of Parliament. Madam Speaker, we need to be innovative as a country, as a chamber, as a house, as a Parliament of Kenya. Kenyans want to interact with this Parliament. Madam Speaker, the unfortunate thing that happened to us in June when this chamber was stormed has had everything to do with public participation, where the public feels that they have not been listened to effectively by their representatives. Madam Speaker, with this motion, I want to believe, Madam Speaker, if this House can actually adopt this motion, it will kickstart a process of reaching the lowest point of representation, which is the constituency for members of Parliament, in terms of information about parliamentary business, in terms of information about the work of the parliamentarians. And in so doing, Madam Speaker, we will dissipate some of the fears that our members of Parliament, of the public, have about the work that MPs do while they're here. Madam Speaker, based on those observations that we made as a committee, having interacted with those experts in Parliament here about how we can improve the broadcasting of parliamentary business using these online platforms, the committee recommends that the Parliamentary Service Commission, which is the executing arm of this House, needs to review the Parliament of Kenya social media platform policy to account for technological changes that have arisen or that have come in, the new trends, and ensure that policy remains relevant. We do not have to go by what we passed in 2016. And you bet, Madam Speaker, the changes that come with these technologies, Madam Speaker, come so fast. So some of these things that were passed in 2016 are not relevant anymore, Madam Speaker. And so the Commission needs to review that policy and make it be in vogue so that it is useful for the broadcasting of Parliament, for the visibility of Parliament and the members of Parliament. Madam Speaker, the website, the parliamentary website, needs to ensure that official social media channels are domiciled on the website for easier accessibility. If that can be put into one website where you can access your Instagram on Parliament, the YouTube, and those other social media platforms, it would help in terms of ease of access. Madam Speaker, developing guidelines on the packaging of content or information of activities undertaken by members of Parliament in their respective counties and constituencies, and dissemination of the same through the YouTube and other social media platforms would be a plus, Madam Speaker, for this House and for these members of Parliament. If we can follow the works of the members of Parliament right up to their constituencies, right up to their counties, Madam Speaker, we are rich in terms of what we do as a legislative arm of government. We are rich in terms of these services that we offer the public that have given us the mandate to come and represent them here. And so, Madam Speaker, the committee, my committee, is asking that the Parliamentary Service Commission actually allocates adequate resources while in their budgeting for purposes of, one, identifying the focal people that can be used by the Parliament social media engagement to deal with information, collect that information, bring it and process it, and package that information in a useful manner that is going to educate the people of Kenya and sell the members of Parliament and Parliament as an institution in a manner that will give Parliament its dignity, that will give Parliament its worth in the society, in Kenya. Otherwise, as it is, Mr. Speaker, the way things are being done now, there is a lot of stories, there is a lot of information out there about members of Parliament. And sometimes a lot of that information, Mr. Speaker, is not information that is authentic. You will find a write-up of a member of Parliament by a media channel that is not factual, that is not truthful, and that hurts. And that hurts the image of Parliament, that hurts the image of the member of Parliament or the members of Parliament, giving us a raw deal in terms of who we are as members of Parliament, what we stand for as members of Parliament, and even as leaders in this country. Mr. Speaker, it is my humble submission that there needs to be an effective communication, media coverage of the members of Parliament of this House. If we do that, Mr. Speaker, we will have less of the kind of interactions that we had with the public. That was not very positive. That did not portray members of Parliament in a good light. And Mr. Speaker, we must listen to what the people of Kenya want from us. We are their servants, and the only way to serve is if we can be in tandem with the desires of the members of the public who have given us the honors to represent them here, not that we come here to represent ourselves. So we must have an effective communication channel or media. And this is what the Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library is presenting to this House in this motion, that can we expand our space of broadcasting? Can we go beyond the traditional TV and radio broadcasting of parliamentary business and move on to online platforms? The number of people you're going to reach, Mr. Speaker, on the online platforms is huge, based on the technology that the online platforms afford us. You can see what we do with these gadgets, the phones that we have. These phones are everything that we need now. And we will be able to listen in, we will be able to intervene and interject and give opinions through these channels, through these platforms, and that interaction will enhance our legislative role. It will enhance the public participation of the members of the public on matters legislature. And finally, Mr. Speaker, allow me to end by urging this House not to lose our practices and our traditions while utilizing the social media channels. In the end, it is for the legislature to be agile and to make use of the opportunities offered by the platforms to advance their constitutional mandate. Mr. Speaker, I want to say, if you adopt this motion, if this House adopts this motion, we will have given Parliamentary Service Commission a task. One, to take us to our constituencies, to connect us with our supporters, our constituents, in a manner that will enrich our oversight role, in a manner that will enrich our representative role. Honorable Speaker, I want to end there, and I want to say thank you for the opportunity to move this motion. I want to request Honorable Wanjuku Muya to second this motion. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And on the onset, I want to congratulate the committee and the chair and say that this motion couldn't have come a better time than this time. Honorable Speaker, this parliament is based on the Article 95-96 for the welfare of society and the just government of the people. But this welfare of the society and the just government of the people is not known by the said people. In Parliament, we represent oversight and legislate, but so little is known because in the current era, the information moves so fast out there on the social media, online platform, as the chair indicates, yet this Parliament
without despising the KBC, is still on KBC, and that means our news will be known tomorrow. Honorable Speaker, the principles of communication dictate that you must have a message, a channel, and the receiver. And the message must be channeled, and the receiver must receive it and give feedback. On a practical example, recently we had the finance bill, and our usual mode of communication were not received. We only received the feedback from the Gen Zs, because the finance bill and the most contentious issues like bread, sanitary towels, the land issues, the message was well conveyed, channeled, and the receiver received it. While Parliament wasn't able to do the same, we received the feedback of reject. Yet we had a good bill, but we didn't make it to convey the same message. With that, Honorable Speaker, I would urge the Parliamentary Service Commission to consider considerable budget for the Communication Department in Parliament, enhancing the capacity of the communication handlers, because they could have head officers who are trained very old times, yet the times have changed and the information is needed almost like instant coffee. Honorable Speaker, without much ado, I would second but urge the chair and the committee to consider after this motion to move higher, maybe to making a bill or reviewing the policy of 2016 and making it in tandem with the current times. With that, I beg to second.
Thank you, Honorable Wanjiku Muya. Honorable members, I now propose the question. This Honorable House adopts the report of the Select Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library on enhancing reporting of parliamentary business on online platforms, which was laid on the table of the House this on Wednesday, 4th October 2023. Whip. Yes, the Deputy Majority Whip, Dr. Naomi Wako.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Based on Standing Order 96, I suggest that we adjourn this and then we move on to the other order paper. Yeah.
I want this speaker on. It is now on. In my entire life as a speaker, I've never seen a motion before this floor moved with such detailed information and knowledge. Let me therefore, before I consider the request made by the Deputy Majority Whip, congratulate the mover and the seconder for very informative moving. I see Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu agrees, the only professor in the Public Accounts Committee, Dr. Wilberforce Oundo, also agrees. For once, I note Honorable John Kiarie, the chair of the Departmental Committee on Communication, Information and Technology, or Innovation. Yeah, innovation is also in the House purposely to make very substantive, contributions to this. And I think I thank those who want to proceed. But looking at this matter, and particularly the perspectives brought by the mover and the seconder, I want to request that we agree to debate this important matter, considering what the Assembly went through a short while ago. and then on the substratum to a future date. And so it is so ordered. This will be debated the next time it will be scheduled. I know that hurts the Honorable John Kiari, who wanted to contribute immediately, as it does the mover and the seconder, and of course all interested parties. But let us make that decision so that we debate this when the House is a bit more full. It's very critical. Next order.
Order number 11, motion, report on the consolidated fund services expenditures for the supplementary estimates 1 for the financial year 2024-2025.
The Chairperson, Public Debt and Privatization Committee to move. Do we have the mover?
Yeah, Honorable Speaker.
That is the Honorable Dr. Makali.
Yes, Honorable Speaker.
Give him the mic.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House and have the report of the Public Debt and Privatization Committee on its consideration of the consolidated fund services for the supplementary estimates 1 for the year 2024-2025 laid on the table of this House on Wednesday, 24th July 2024. Honorable Speaker, the consolidated fund services expenditure constitute mandatory expenditures that are directly charged to the consolidated fund and include public debt servicing expenditures, pension payments, salary and allowances for independent offices and constitutional commissions, among other expenditures, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, under the first supplementary budget for the year 2024-25, the total CFS expenditures are estimated to increase by 23.78 billion, pushing the total to Kenya shillings 2.08 trillion. And as such, they will remain the largest expenditure component of the government, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the increase in the CFS expenditures is attributed to increases in pension expenditures, and there are no changes to the public debt servicing expenditures that will remain at 1.85 trillion, comprised of interest and principal payments worthy interest Kenya shillings 1.01 trillion and 843 billion. That is interest 1 trillion, principal about 8.3 trillion. So in short, what we are saying, Honorable Speaker, is that the part of public debt is not changing. So the only change in the supplementary estimate is associated with the pension. Honorable Speaker, the Kenya shillings 23.78 billion increase in the pension liabilities is attributable to carryovers and unsettled pension claims due to the liquidity challenges experienced in the financial year 23-24. This amount includes 21.22 billion Kenya shillings in lump sum payments owed to retirees or people who have retired, and Kenya shillings, Honorable Speaker, 2.56 billion in employer contributions to the public service superannuation scheme. The breakdown of the money to those who have retired is as follows, Honorable Speaker. The July 2024 monthly payroll includes 259,222 principal pensioners, drawing a total of 5.51 billion Kenya shillings, and 83,615 dependents who are expected to have received 1.9 million, Honorable Speaker. Additionally, 13,403 civil servants are projected to be retiring this year with entitlements to both lump sum payments and monthly pensions. In short, we are saying, Honorable Speaker, because of the liquidity challenges in the country for the last financial year, we had cut over in terms of we had to push some payments to this financial year, just as we did with the CDF payments and just as we did with the county government's equal share, which was not released. Honorable Speaker, following this increase, pension liabilities will thus amount to 223 billion for the financial year 2024-25, and will now constitute 6% of the total expenditure, or 2.3% of the gross domestic product, and consistently, Honorable Speaker, becoming one of the government's largest expenditure items. Pension expenditures have grown at an annualized rate of 21.3%, Honorable Speaker, since the year 2014-2015, when they stood at 2.4 billion. So this expenditure item, Honorable Speaker, keeps on increasing year in, year out. Honorable Speaker, to finance the revised fiscal deficit for the 2024-2025 supplementary budget, the National Treasury indicated that the overall borrowing target, which was supposed to remain at 45 to 55 in terms of ratios, meaning, Honorable Speaker, domestically, we intend to borrow 45%, that was the initial before the supplementary, and then externally, we had planned to borrow 55%. However, to finance the fiscal deficit for the first supplementary estimates, the indicative borrowing framework, Honorable Speaker, is currently estimated to cause a further increase of 141 billion in net domestic borrowing, and further Kenya shillings 22.6 billion additional borrowing from the external markets, Honorable Speaker. What this means, Honorable Speaker, we are now shifting the ratios as opposed to the original planning of 45-55 mix. It has now changed to 53-47 mix, meaning now with the new supplementary budget, the government targets to borrow 53% domestically and 47% externally. So as you can see, Honorable Speaker, the ratios have changed and they have implication. Honorable Speaker, the committee does observe a growing dependency on domestic borrowing. While recognizing the constraints in current financing options, it is important, Honorable Speaker, to highlight that domestic debt servicing constitutes the largest portion of public debt servicing, representing 68% of the total public debt servicing expenditures. What we are saying, Honorable Speaker, is out of the total interest rate we are going to pay, which is about 1.101 trillion, 68% of that amount will go to service domestic loans, which means it's only that 2 which will be servicing external loans, Honorable Speaker. Consequently, an increased reliance on domestic borrowing indicates an elevated exposure to interest risks and refinancing risk, Honorable Speaker. As such, Honorable Speaker, the committee noted that the liquidity risk in 2024-25 could have been mitigated as the Treasury single account being operationalized, which is been mandated by both the Cabinet and numerous House resolutions, and up to now, Honorable Speaker, it has not been made operational. Honorable Speaker, the Treasury single account is essential for consolidating government finances into a single account, facilitating budget execution, increasing transparency, and controlling expenditure. The committee noted that the Treasury did not provide a timeline within which single Treasury account is to be established, resulting in a slow pace of implementation of this critical resolution. Honorable Speaker, arising from the committee consultative arrangements, the committee, through its report makes the following recommendations, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I must say we are very happy now that Honorable Mbandi is a man sitting now at the Treasury, the elm of the Treasury. Honorable Speaker, you know very well me and Mbandi, we have been pushing a lot of reforms in our financial sector. The other day when I met him here yesterday, after approval, I challenged him. I told him that now God has given you the opportunity we have all been looking forward to. You will be that side, and Makali Mulu will remain here, so that I'll keep on reminding you what we have always been saying, implement. So, Honorable Speaker, I look forward to a situation where some of the things we have been discussing all over time with the Honorable Band and the House as a whole, now we have a person who appreciates and who can implement them. So the recommendation I'm pushing forward now, we are pushing forward as a committee. Honorable Speaker, the implementer is no other than Honorable Bandi. And we're happy that he knows what we are saying. The first recommendation, Honorable Speaker, we are saying within 30 days of the adoption of this report, the National Treasury, headed by Honorable Mbandi, should draft should draft annual borrowing plan for the financial year 2024-25, pursuant to Section 63D of the Public Finance Management Act 2012. And Regulation 186 of the same Act, which is Regulation of 2015, and after that, submit the plan to the National Assembly. The plan should also be published on the National Treasury website for transparency purposes. Honorable Speaker, this plan will be able to guide us as a country in terms of our borrowing plan and also the way we are using our loans. Recommendation number 2, Honorable Speaker. The National Treasury should develop